Hi. I'm not going to lie. It might be a bit of a low energy live stream this evening because I just woke up. Like I passed out on the sofa and I just woke up. So I know. Oh yeah, live stream. I was like asleep, a nap. You know, you have a little nap, like a 5 minute nap. It's good for you, apparently, good for the heart. But it wasn't a like by 1,000,000%. It's like if you could take a drug to cut the risk of coronary heart disease, you couldn't get it by a billion%. But naps, apparently, naps are the things. So hello the Bobbins, hello Amour, hello Andy H, hello Tommy, hello Noah, hello Karen Commissar and Andy H again. Thank you for joining this Talky Tuesday live stream, low energy. What are we talking about? I don't know. You see, I don't know. I'm a bit all of a kerfuffled, but I'm good. It's glad to be here. Always glad to catch up with the community because you're always such an intelligent, caring, sharing, happy bunch of people. Hello to all my subscribers. Hello to all the members. Hello to all the Mub Club members. All members of the 13th Fleet. Nice to see you. I like a nap, but sometimes I feel more tired afterwards. Exactly. I don't know. Maybe I need to go to bed early or something. Yeah. I think it's because of this low energy, because of the sun's gone. Where's the vitamin D at? Where's the birdies in the trees? What's the weather like? Is everyone in the UK? Anyone not in the UK? Anyone got good weather out there? And if you have, please return it. Timothy's dodging work calls. Nice. It's if you are working and watching this, then you've achievement unlocked. That's like a goal in life, isn't it? Pretending you're working while actually watching the tubes. That's good. But yeah, anyone not? Are we all in the UK here? Do we all know what I'm talking about? Anyone not in the UK in the chat? I'd be very curious to see whether the weather is absolutely screwed up your end as well, or whether it's just screwed up our end. It's very screwed up our end right now. Your colleague got back from Turkey. Hi, Wraith Raider. When she went, it was lovely and sunny, and she's come back to ... this. It's July. Have you seen that? It's July. It's like raining today. I mean, rain is nice, but in July. Timothy, you're in Maryland in America. Is that where all the Marys hang out? And what's the weather like in America land? Is it nice there? It's too hot in New York City, apparently, old man Mike. New York City is one of those places, never been, like to go. Apparently it like boils in the summer and absolutely freezes in the winter, and sometimes in the autumn it smells like pickled fruit. That's what I've been told. July, taking notes from April. I know, and that's the other thing. We didn't have much spring either in this country this year either. It just went like grey, grey, grey. We had a week of summer. 36 in your temperature scale in America. In New York City. It's going to be hot in that concrete jungle, right? Trapped in the thing. It's going to feel like a hive city with the thermostat turned up too high. It's going to feel a little bit saucy, you know? A little bit saucy. We've had like 3 days where any aircon would have been useful. We don't do aircon in the UK. I tell you what though, it's getting a bit toasty in here with all the electronics turned off. So we'll take off an item of clothing. Calm down though. It's the only one that will come off. Don't worry. That one we'll put that over there. Over chair number 2. So it's over chair number 2. Getting a bit warmer in here. I'm perking up. I've got my coffee. That'll cheer me up. Right. Hobby stuff. More winter's legs. Look, I'm actually trousers. I've got trousers on. Trousers. So winter. There's not going to be a winter's hot tub stream at any time soon. What was that all about? There was a period of time where hot tub live streams were a thing. No one wants to see me in a hot tub. I don't even want to see me in a hot tub. It would be, it would put you off your bagels if you had a bagel, a nice tasty bagel. But yeah, welcome to the Talky Tuesday live stream where we talk all the things Warhammers and Warhammers related. What have you guys been getting up to in the chat? What are you painting right now? What are you looking forward to? Entertain me. Let me know. Let's discuss your issues this evening. What are you struggling with? Is there a particular project? You know, AOS 4.0. Is it any good, Harry? Is AOS 4.0 any good? I'm hearing mixed things. I mean, everyone always gets upset when Games Workshop changes a thing. But I've heard that AOS 4.0 changes quite a few things. And have they gone for full tournament mode with the AOS? Is that's what it is? Have they gone full 10th edition 40k with it? Or is it a bit more Diet Coke? Or have they just changed too many things and upset too many people? But I'm hearing mixed things. I'm hearing some people are absolutely loving the AOS. Some people not so much loving the AOS. There seems to be a lot of kerfuffle about it on the interwebs, that's all. Murder Bowl on Saturday with your 15-year-old. Dude, you're playing Murder Bowl. That's going to just one dice roll per objective. It's fun. Murder Bowl, nice and simple. You don't have to think about it too much, but it can get quite tactical. Played a few games of Murder Bowl on their channels as well. Danny D is painting a night pilot rescue based on a Breed Nice. That's good. I like the idea of a pilot rescue. Harry, first time playing OS, so it's great. Exactly. Like, this is the thing. I talked to quite a few people who play 40k, and they're upset about this edition compared to the previous edition or second edition, or they do this now and they don't do that. But my thing is, if you only started in this edition and you want to play with your orcs and you want to play with your Eldar and you want to, if you only knew this edition and you're new to it, then this is how you play 40k. It's thing. That's why I've always just played whatever is in front of me. You know, as Ragnar Lothbrok says, don't look backwards. You're not going that way. If this is the 40k, or if this is the OS, or if this is the game system and this is how you play and bring your little toy soldiers to life, then embrace it. Wraithraid's got a tournament. Second ever Pariah Nexus game. The changes, I mean, interesting. Yeah, the changes are, I love Deathwing Knights in the circuit. Yeah, the tweaks to Dark Angels make them a bit more playable, but people don't play Dark Angels as Dark Angels, do they? They play them as either Gladius, or they play us as the Iron Wing Thingy Bob, Iron Hand, Iron. There's an Iron detachment. That's the thing people play. And Pariah Nexus, having played it a few times now, isn't much different than the Leviathan mission deck, with the exception that you might want to bring a battle line unit or two just in case. There's 3 narratives games we have at our group tomorrow. Woo. 3. Inshan. Nice. Guard v Orcs. Not ran the new rules of the Guard yet, so should be interesting. Nice. I don't think Guard have that many new rules, do they? 10 more Beast Snaggers, Andy Ashby. Nice. 10 more Beast Snaggers. The Beast Snaggers. They're not the ones that ride the things, are they? No. Wraith Raider. Hot take. 10th edition is the best edition. It's the codexes that have caused the issues, not the core rules. Okay. I like it. Positivity. Pushing the P. Pushing the P. Best edition. Is 10th edition... We can discuss that, chat. Is 10th edition the best edition of Warhammer 40k? Blake finished painting some Nurgle War Dogs. Nice. The GW community love to moan, wouldn't read too much into it, says Andy. Yes. I mean, are you truly a fan of the hobby? If you love the hobby but hate Games Workshop, hey up, Adam. You love the hobby but hate Games Workshop. It's one I said it in a few videos a couple of times. Like Warhammer 40k is not Games Workshop. Games Workshop, let's face it. I nearly said a rude words. Games Workshop, let's face it, could be ran better. How about that? How's that for a politically correct answer? That company could be. They could have some better. Yes. Still, however, they've got a lot of creative people behind the scenes who make lots of creative things, miniatures, artwork, books and things, and we love it. We love it. We love it. Playing 2K game against your sisters. Nice. 2.0 Heresy is good. Yes. Yes. 2.0 Heresy is very good. It's interesting in the video that I did recently. A few people said 1.0 Heresy is better, but they were in the minority. Certainly all the people I've met who play Heresy and played Heresy 1.0 prefer Heresy 2.0 rather than the Heresy 1.0. New rules says specific unit lethal hits against guard. They don't need to stand still. New rules for guard is slight altercation. Specific units get lethal hits against specific units. They don't need to stand still now, which is the big one. You know, I completely missed that. Guard don't need to stand still at all. Heresy Space Wolves, 50 done, 58 left. Nice. Look at the simplicity of the new data cards there. I'm finishing off the last. So, yeah. I'm looking at, let me go to the balanced data. Guard. I'm now interested to see the guard. Imperial Guard. See, until I actually run up against the unit that I'm going to be playing, till I run against guard, I don't see models can issue orders inside transports, regiment from your range that visible that attacks lethal hits. Born soldiers. So we're talking about born soldiers. Each time a model in a regiment unit from your army makes an attack that targets a visible unit, it's got to be visible as well, so no indirect fire. Excluding monsters and vehicles, you get lethal hits. So that's the new guard thing, is it? And each time a squadron unit from your army makes a ranged attack that targets visible monster or vehicle units, they have lethal hits. So beforehand, they had to stay still to get lethal hits. Now, if regiments target not monsters and vehicles, they get lethal. And if squadrons target monsters or vehicles, they get lethal. So you don't have to stand still anymore. Is that the change? I really do need movement because you do need that movement because the static nature of the previous... Hello RT. Is that the change, guys? Yes. Okay. Yes, because the Born Soldiers was stand still lethal. Now, regiment lethal hits if they move. Squadron lethal hits if they move, depending on what they're shooting at. Yeah. So you've got to remember whether you're shooting a regiment unit or a squadron unit. So you don't get all lethals all the times on the things all the time. So it makes more narrative sense, right? If you're a regiment unit, because it's supposed to, they're born soldiers. They're getting the eye in. One is getting in they're shooting at the thing, and occasionally one of them manages to take the headshot. They're shooting artillery or tanks at a squadron unit, at a monster or vehicle, and they know what they're doing. They are born soldiers. So it makes more narrative sense. And it makes them a less static force. Yeah. Indirect was a big part of Guard's power. Now 1 to 3 misses and no lethal. But the new moves and lethal rules is good. Yeah, there were Guards in tournament scene. There were some Guard lists out there. Particularly in the World Team Cup tournament thing, the team thing. All of the, as far as I was aware, all of the countries that were running the WTC had a Guard list in it for the indirect firepower lethal hit leaf blower type effect. And the point of that player was to blow the weaker lists off the table. Just they wouldn't score as high, but they were there to throw the spanner in the works and and they were all running it. They were all running like really killy indirect fire Guard lists, and they were the joker in the deck. So this way, maybe there'll be a bit more finesse against them. A bit more finesse. Indirect is such a feels bad mechanic, though. Indirect is a feels bad. No, well, see, everyone. Here's the thing: indirect firepower in war is a thing. From arrows fired over a curtain wall to someone pressing a button on another continent to missiles to indirect fire is a thing. So getting hit by stuff you can't see in war feels like a thing. And then it's like, how do you mitigate against that? You can spread out, you can do this, you can do that, there's ways to mitigate against it, or you just have to take it. But what is important is all the factions have some type of indirect fire as well, have an ability to get round it. And that's not the case, right? I don't think Votan have got in any indirect. And I'm not sure World Eaters certainly don't have any indirect. Mind you, in turn 2, they're in your lines. Indirect fire is a thing in war. You're going to get hit by missiles. So you've got to have to, when you're building your list, you have to think of, right, how am I going to get rid of that indirect fire? Am I going to get rid of their indirect fire with my indirect fire? Am I going to outflank on the side and try and nuke it? Am I going to deep strike behind enemy lines? And I'm going to position myself so I can shoot the thing. I think it doesn't help in tournaments as well that, tournament boards are just those abomination of boards with just L's all over the place, tucked in here, and you can't even squeeze. I mean, part of the reason why they've got the new movement rules is because tournament players on tournament boards means you can't move anything anywhere. It's horrible. Evening, Wolf Boot. Indirect will feel less bad if there were temples and scatter. They got away from temples. Templates. If you want to have templates and scatter, and if you want to bring back scatter dice, then move across to Old World or Warhammer 40k, where those things still very much exist. That game still exists. You can still play with those mechanics. Just in another game system. Hello, friendly neighborhood inquisitor. It's going very well. I just woke up. 1 minute. Hello. Do you want to go in the wardrobe? Okay. You got to check for monsters in the wardrobe. Make sure there's no monsters down there. And then once he's checked everything out, made sure no monsters in the wardrobe, he can now ignore the wardrobe and sit there and just stare at me. Hello. You good boy? Yeah? You going in? Ladies and gentlemen, I think he's going in. He's not going in. Go sleep in your donut. That donut exists there. Just go for you. Go in your donut. Donut? Are you donutting? What? No. Donut. That's my shirt. Sorry about this. Please settle. No. Okay. Right. We'll ignore him. Cat defies you. Cat always defies me. I am merely here to serve. He's the true master of this house, and I'm only here to give the belly scritches. No, not the belly scritches, because he will have your face off, but the chin scritches and the food and the licky licks every now and then. You know? He's just making sure there's... You're right, Inchin. He's making sure there's no heresy afoot, that there's no monsters in the wardrobe. Are you going now? That you don't even want to be in here, do you? Because I'm talking, right? That's another thing about cats. You'd think at the age of 16 he'd figure out how doors work. You know, like the door works like that, and if you sit in front of it, the door will hit you in the head. You got to move. You know what I mean? Like our back doors are those. They're not the slidey ones. They're the things, the French doors. So the number of times you open the French door, you've got to get out on the side and you'll try and get under the thing because it's popped like that rather than slid back. It's like, that's not how doors work. You'd think he'd have figured out by now how doors work. I've seen he's not well trained. He's a goddamn idiot. I've seen cats using handles on the internet, like jumping up and doing their handles, right? I'm offended you dared to apologize for the cat. I demand more cat. He's the cat, the P90, he's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. You can demand cat. I mean, I demand cat. I sit there like, cat, cat, cat. And he sort of puts his finger up at you, turns around and walks off, and then starts licking his balls. Not that he's got any balls, but he tries to find them. He's been trying to find them for a very long time. He still hasn't found them yet. There's a reason why he doesn't like trip to the vets, put it that way. Cats are in charge. The bobbins knows. Even when you think they aren't, this is the way. Cats. We have got a cat flap. We've got a cat flap on the front door. Cat flap on the front door, but he likes going in the back garden as well. And we haven't got a cat flap on the back garden door, on the back door. And then sometimes when it's raining, he'll like you have to let him out. He'll go out one way, figure out it's raining, and then come back inside, and then try and go out the other way because maybe it's not raining. If it's raining out here, maybe it's not raining there. I see. Stupid. Of course it's but here we are. That's not a cat. He's a Barrett 50 cal. He's a P90. He's small, angry, and he'll take your skin off. Yeah. He was nearly called Frag Grenade. Barrett 50 would have made sense, because then taking him to the vet, I could have just called him Barrett. You know what I mean? But when I take him to the vet and they say, here's your fox, P9, here's your cat, P90. And they don't get in the vets, the local, they don't understand the humor, but I thought it was funny at the time. Yeah, you can call a cat whatever you want. When I was growing up, there was a massive, one of the largest cats I've ever seen, a massive white cat in our street that lived out in our street. Bright white cat called Spot. And it didn't have one spot on it. I thought that was genius. Hi, son. How you doing? Anyway, welcome to the Talk Tuesday live stream. Today, we don't know what we're talking about because I just woke up. I had a bit too much of a nap. It was supposed to be a slight nap, and then I woke up over an hour later, like, I'm on a live stream. And the summer's disappeared. It's freezing. It's raining. And except in New York, apparently, where it's 36 degrees. When nap becomes sleep, exactly. When the nap turns into a sleep, you're in trouble. But when a nap is just a nap, it's good for the heart. Would recommend. Garfield loves it. It's not old people and naps. It's like, I understand, peak athletes nap as well, apparently. Maybe not. But it's good for your rhythms, your cardio rhythms. Yes. That's what it's good for. Yeah, lovely nap. Anyway, where were we? What were we talking about? That was the question. Dick Lionheart would be a good name for a cat. RTRT, you should get a cat and call him Dick Lionheart. Yeah. Go get a cat. Call him Dick Lionheart. Yeah. What were we talking about? I've forgotten already. How your hobby is going on. What are you working on? What are you looking forward to? We had a brief. Loved the latest Horus Heresy game on the street. The latest one was nice, wasn't it? We were talking about 40k, certainly not cats or naps. Yes. Yeah, the last Heresy one that I had with Steve, not Rob, that one worked very well. I quite liked that one because it did show off quite a lot of Heresy mechanics. We had sweeping advances, we had fear, we had deep strike mishaps, we had all the things on that one. So it showed off a lot of the mechanics that can happen in Heresy, and a lot of things went wrong, and how you recover from them. Like in 40k, when things go wrong, there's often ways to mitigate against it, or it doesn't often go. You're in control of your army a lot in 40k. You don't often feel like it's been taken away from you, the control of your army, but you do get that in Heresy from time to time. Like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. Dante converted to look like that painting of Archangel Michael and the devil. Very happy with it. Wow. Okay. So Marius, yes, that sounds gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Nice. How is it going with fixing the 2 videos? Good question. I'll get back to that. I don't play Heresy, but the scatter deep strike mechanic seems a bit odd when you just string out anyway. I remember you do similar with a big squad in another game. Yeah, so in the deep strike mechanic, deep strike mishap, there were times, because it's based on the older edition, right? So back in 6th edition and earlier, if you rolled a deep strike mishap, you were dead. That unit that you put down, that you can't put down because it's scattered into impassable terrain, or it's scattered off the board. If that happened to you, you lost the entire unit. And bear in mind, some of those units could be 600 points, 800 points. They could be really expensive units. If you've got your HQ and you've wrapped them up with like Drago, for example, with 10 Terminators, with an Apothecary, with a banner, deep striking in, is going to cost you 500, 600 points. And if you deep strike mishapped, you lost the entire squad. It's hard to come back from that. So in 7th and 8th, they brought in a mechanic where if you deep strike mishapped, you rolled a dice. And if you rolled a 1 when you rolled those dice, you lost the whole unit. But I think like other things, they were either delayed or other things happened. So you could scatter badly, but there was still a way to rescue your units. There was still a chance. And that rule carried over into Heresy 1.0. So if you deep strike mishap, there was a 1 in 6 chance you would lose the whole unit anyway. And you would deep strike independently. Like that unit would come down, deep strike, and that could mishap. This unit would come down, deep strike, and that could mishap. And that unit could come down and deep strike. It would all happen independently around you. In Heresy 2.0, they have stopped the possibility of you losing an entire unit or multiple units. Instead, have brought the new rule in, which is a deep strike assault, which is one thing doesn't deep strike on its own. You assign all the units together in a pile to the deep strike assault. 1 unit or 2 units or 3 units or how many are coming down. And they all come in at the same time on the same turn. So that makes deep strike less strong, but it also makes it more strong. It makes it less strong because you could put a couple of units over there in turn 2, a couple of units over there in turn 3. You could reserve large portions of your army and really change a battle by having lots and multiple deep strikes going on. And now they've got a deep strike assault. And then if it goes horribly wrong, you just end up being misplaced. The other thing about deep strikes is you used to deep strike into a tight bundle like that, a tight big bundle, and the other things that deep struck in tight big bundles, but they got rid of that as well, and instead you put the model down and then you can string them. So yeah, but there's 2 chances now for it to go wrong. One is you deep strike mishap on the beginning, and so your opponent gets to put the unit down 18 inches away somewhere, and they can string it in a different direction. They can do whatever they want. And then if you've got multiple units deep striking in, then you don't want to roll a 1. Then if you roll a 1, it becomes disordered, and the other units you have to put down a long way away. And if you don't roll a 1, and then so they've mitigated against it. And then what I'm saying is, it's something they've been working on since 3rd edition. It's something they've been working on for many, many decades, getting the deep strike feel right. Now, there's definitely an argument to say that with the deep strike assault, multiple units coming down in one turn, making sure that that's a thing. And there's definitely an argument to say, should the 2nd or 3rd or 4th units, can they be strung out all over the place as well? Maybe we should go back to tight bundles as well. So tight bundle here, tight bundle there. Maybe you should do that. Maybe in Heresy, say 3 units deep striking in, if you don't screw up, can be really strong and can win you the game. Can be really strong. It can be overwhelming. So there's an argument against it. It can be a feels bad. Now, because I know you're asking, tight bundles and large blast was so fun not. Exactly, Youngkin. Exactly. Tight bundles, large, because you put them in a tight bundle like that, you've deep struck mishap, you're a bit over here, but you're not dead. They're down, then they shoot. Say you fail a charge or something like that, and you're stuck in a tight bundle, and then your opponent in their turn goes, oh, large blast markers right on top of that large, and you'd get multiple large blast, and then that thing would get blown away anyway. So to prevent against your whole units dying if they fail to make charges, or if you fail to, they've said no tight bundle anymore. You can string out now. So that's what it's there to mitigate against people losing large portions of their army when they either deep strike mishap or when they fail the charge after coming in, or so you can see why they've done the strung out thing. Now, thanks for asking, but Winters, if you don't screw up, if you do deep strike where you want to deep strike and you don't roll a 1 for a disordered deep strike and you're bringing in 2 more units and they're not disordered, all of a sudden you can put 30 Terminators in your opponent's back passage. GG, it's all over. Thanks for playing. Yes, you can. You can do that. It's horrible. And there's a couple of answers to that. One is, it's very important in games of Horus Heresy to talk to your opponent beforehand to figure out what they're bringing. And play accordingly and build lists accordingly. And then the game sings better. For example, I could turn up round your house and we agree we're playing a 5,000 point game of Horus Heresy. You get to finally play with Winters. It's going to be really glorious. And you've set up your lovely Salamanders list. You brought along Vulcan, brought along a couple of Dreadnoughts. Lovely list. GGWP, off we go. And then I turn up and I'm like, hi, yeah, I've actually bought 3 detachments. I've brought Angron in this one, Kurz in this one, and here's my Reaver Titan. Thanks for bringing along a 5,000 point nice vanilla list. Let's go with 2 Primarchs and a Reaver Titan. GGWP again, you're dead. The Heresy is both inherently balanced, is both perfectly balanced, Heresy's balanced really well around the toughness 4, strength 4. It's got lots of Space Marines in it. It's balanced in the middle, but at the edges, it's really whack. It's really unbalanced all over the place. Because the rule system is written with the narrative in mind. And I get messages from Heresy players all the time saying, the game's imbalanced. You should do this. You should... this Primarch versus this Primarch. This Primarch is the same points as this one and it's utter crap compared to the other one. Or look at the points in this versus the points in that. The imbalance is horrible. And I think Initiative 10 SM Battle Reports did a live stream once going, and it was about the Heresy meta or the Heresy tournament meta. And me personally, whenever I hear people talking about Heresy meta, tournaments or balance, a little shiver runs down my spine. And I get very, very frightened for the future of the game. Because the wacky, weird imbalance in Heresy is what makes it good. In 40k, 1,000 Space Marines can take down a Titan, because 6s wound no matter what. In Heresy, 1,000 Space Marines cannot take down a Titan. Our weapons are useless. They will be destroyed. It's a Titan. It doesn't matter what you do, you're dead. And I like that. I like that about it. It's wacky, it's imbalanced. In Heresy, if you bring along a Primarch and your opponent hasn't brought a Primarch, you're probably winning 9 times out of 10. In 40k, if you bring along a Primarch, Mortarion, Angron, Magnus, people can deal with them. See, in 40k, I would love it if all the Primarchs started around 500, 600 points and all the Primarchs had a 3-up invulnerable save. Angron had a 3-up invulnerable save. Mortarion had a 3-up. The Guilliman and the Lion had a 3-up invulnerable save. I want to see Guilliman and the Lion with a 3-up invulnerable save, half all damage and a 5-up feel no pain, or half all damage and recover wounds. Something like that in 40k. I want them to be, and yes, they would be mean and they wouldn't die, but I want them to be 600 point rocks. I want them to feel like Primarchs, but they can get picked up. But in Heresy, they can't get picked up. In Heresy, Heresy is whack. Heresy tournament. You need to talk to your opponent before the game. So deep striking. If people are deep striking in all over the place, doing the thing. If you're going around a friend's house and you're playing Imperial Fists and you're bringing in 30 deep striking Terminators in the backfield and you didn't tell them, then you're not going to have a great game because it will be over in turn 2, turn 3, assuming that your reserves come in turn 2, turn 3. It'll be over. And then what's the fun of that? You get to play less Heresy. Now, if you're coming around here and you're saying, I'm bringing Imperial Fists and I'm bringing in 30 deep striking Terminators, I'll go, yes, let's try this. What I'll do is I'll bring along a Master of the Signals to try and make your thing a bit more disordered. And I'm going to try and bring a few more models around to cushion out and to deep strike mishap and to do a few things here there. I'm going to try and mitigate against it. And I want to feel like what it's like having 30 Terminators trying to deep strike in. And I'll tell you, I'm bringing a Master of Signals or the Rhino with the Disruptor Array or the other thing. There's things you can do to mitigate against it. Or augury scanners everywhere. So this one intercepts and this one intercepts and this one intercepts and this one intercepts. There's things you can do. But you really need to have that discussion with your opponent first in Heresy if you want to have a better game. And also, finally, rant over after this, I talked to a few people where I don't have the opportunity to have that discussion with my opponent because most of my games are down the local gaming score and they all bring 6 Dreadnoughts, so I have to bring 6 Dreadnoughts too. And if that's the case, that most of your games of Heresy are down the local store or down the local club and people are dirty and you're going up against 6 Dreadnoughts all the time, double Primarch lists all the time, things like that, whatever you're doing, then it sucks. And you're chasing to keep up and you're just chasing to try and stay on the table, try and have some kind of game rather than it's over in 2 or 3 turns. That sucks. And if it was me going to those places, I would start having conversations with the people there beforehand, saying the ones that you know, the ones that you trust, the ones that you think you can talk to. There must be someone in the room where you can say, look, aren't you sick of going up against 6 Contemptor Dreadnoughts all the time? If you're the ancient type lists, how about next week I bring a list like this along? What do you think you could bring along? There must be someone where you can have a pre-game discussion about in the evening while having a lovely cup of coffee and some Jaffa cakes about what to bring next time. So both of you play more Heresy, and more Heresy is finishing in turn 5 or 6, playing the whole game where you're trying some stuff out and things. Adam Sam, thank you for gifting 1 Winter's SEO membership. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Where are we? Where are we? Lord Inquisitive X, he's left. Thanks for popping in and going again. Any Heresy players out there after that rant? What do we think? Am I preaching truth again? I think the same applies to 40k. Our club used to play, we developed an army rating system for 1 to 5, so people had an idea of how powerful a list to make. Yeah, you can do the same in 40k as well. Obviously, yeah, the same balance issues work in 40k and in Old World and in any system where you have points, where you have such a large smorgasbord of units to pick from. You obviously, you want to put the sweaty list against the sweaty list. I mean, we even do it at events and the Swiss pairing system. You want to put the sweaty list against the sweaty list, the casual list against the casual lists. Then you have a better game that way. Yes. So yeah, that's a good way to mitigate against that sort of stuff. The general point I was trying to make about Heresy is there are some really weird, wacky, wild exceptions which there will be nothing you can do. There's nothing 1,000 Primarchs can do against, 1,000 Marines can do against a Primarch. That Primarch is going through those tactical Marines. There's nothing 1,000 Marines can do against a Titan. There's not. If you just bring a list full of infantry and a couple of tanks, and you go up against the whole Dreadnought list, you're gonna die. There's other exceptions like Deep Strike. There's other exceptions like Artificer armor. There's other exceptions such as multiple augury scanners. There's lots of ways where the game can get very wacky very quickly. And I would hate for them to remove those things because essentially that's what happened to 40k. They brought in the command point reroll system. They brought in ways to +1 to wound. They brought in ways that you can put miniatures back in. They brought in ways that this is the curve of extremes, and in 40k they snipped away the extremes on either side and flattened out the curve a little bit. Now that's good for 40k. That's good for a a mass system where the majority of people play, where it's you got to build your list and score as many points as possible to win. A, B, C. That's what 40k is. So it's good for the game system that they want to promote now, which is the 40k system that they want to promote now, but not good for, say, Old World, and not good for Heresy, which are longer, which are, I would say, aimed at the more older gentleman, aimed at the more serious hobbyist, aimed at someone who they're aimed at people who want to play the narrative. They're aimed at people who are collecting Blood Angels because they really like the lore behind the Blood Angels, or Chaos Dwarfs, or whatever it might be. It's more of a hobby space, more of a long-term. It's full of fishermen and golfers and people that like stamp collecting. It's full of a lot more geeks and nerds, whereas 40k is full of geeks and nerds, and also kids, and also hip people now. There's people with tattoos who actually play 40k these days, and some of them they're not all Space Wolf players either now. It's amazing. I saw a bloke that he had piercings. He like these hoop things and tattoos, and he wasn't a Space Wolves player. I know, right? Imagine that back in the day, back in the end of the 80s, early 90s. It was that didn't happen. No. Where are we? Young King. What? Am I calling you out? Yes. What? If you got tattoos? It's finding those like-minded individuals and striking up a friendship. Exactly. That's the one thing it doesn't say on the box, right? Warhammer 40k, friend required. Well, 40k teaches us so many things, like finding friends and striking up conversations. It teaches us maths. It teaches us imagination. It teaches us painting. If you've got children out there, get them into the hobby. It's good for them on all sorts of levels: friendship, socially, maths, dice rolling. If you've got friends, if you've got children, introduce them to Night Lords, introduce them to Slanesh. Then they can go to their teacher, and they say, when they do their hobby in school, and you bring your hobbies in, and they're all the little 6 kids. Hi, here's my hobby. I turn these oranges into faces. Hi, here's my little hobby. I collect all the flowers from my garden and stamp press them into this book. Hi, here's my hobby. I collect Night Lords. They skin babies. See, you need that sort of encouragement for your children, because there's far too many babies in the world. And it's a hobby, right? Skinning them. It's, the Night Lords do it and then put it on TV. It's, yeah. I collect Slanesh. Look at the cords from his spine, which they use as a harp. It's nice. People say that 40k is a bit, what is the word? Softer now. And it is. On the surface, it is. Back in the 80s, when they released the Slaves to Darkness, the 4 Chaos Gods, right? They weren't in the original Warhammer 40k. So for all those young bloods in the chat, there's a few old people here. You'll old people in the chat, you'll have my back on this, right? So back in the 80s, there were people in the Daily Mail and people in America getting really upset about Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammers. And it would appear in the news every now and then, like sorcery, leaving our kids astray, stuff like that. And then they released the Slaves to Darkness expansion with the 4 Chaos Gods, and it was in the White Dwarf, and it was everywhere. And I was like, in my teenage years, looking at this going, those demons have got one booby. It was like, it was almost like they deliberately designed it to upset certain parents. And upset them they did. It really hit the newspapers. People were banning Warhammer stores where Warhammers appeared. The Daily Mail got really, really upset about it, which is, who knew the Daily Mail would ever get upset about anything? They got really upset. And that was on their front page. This is the Warhammers. This is what we do. Look at these lovely chaos things that we made. Can I introduce you to our new Lord and Savior, Slaanesh? How many boobies do you want? It was that sort of thing. Now, they obviously faced quite a bit of backlash. And they've decided not to do that anymore. On the surface, when little Timmy goes to the store, he sees the Space Marines. He goes, oh, Space Marines. And he sees sometimes the Chaos, sometimes the Nurgle goes, oh, baddies. You know, that's the surface stuff. It's a bit vanilla light on the surface. It's a bit Diet Coke on the surface, but they haven't got rid of the Slaaneshi or the Skinning Babies Night Lords or any of that sort of stuff. That's still there. It's still there, but you can't put it on. When you're trying to sell a product to children, you can't say Night Lords are never going to be in the 11th edition launch box. Put it that way. That's not going to, yes. Or Slaaneshi Demons. But it's still there. It's still hardcore. I mean, in Fulgrim, there's a Xenos sex orgy thing going on. The Mirror Cracked. Don't read that short story. It's disgusting. And it is. It's Graham McNeil saying, "How much can I get away with here?" Those stories are still there. The art is still there. The harp lady with the thing, you know, remember the thing? That's still there. It's all still there. It's just not on the surface anymore. It's still grim in the dark, guys. But the 6-year-olds don't see it yet. You've got to scratch a little bit. Fletcher, thank you for your 15 months. He's 15 months old, ladies and gentlemen. He's beginning to crawl. We've had to baby tape the house to make sure it doesn't bump his head into things. Thank you so much. 15 months, long time, longer than a year. I appreciate it. Hello, world. He says, can I ask a question behind the curtain? Do you make more 40k bat reps because they are more popular or because you prefer it to Horus Heresy? Of the two game systems, I prefer Horus Heresy to 40k. I think Heresy is a better war game because of explosions and falling back and pinning and things like that. But I still and have always liked Warhammer 40k too. I've played whatever edition of Warhammer 40k is in front of me. And as I said right at the start of the stream, if you started playing 40k today and went into a store and picked up some towel and then came back home and put your towel together and you don't know and you start playing, this is 40k for you. So this is how I play with my orcs, how I play with my Tyranids, how I play with my Death Guard. I play 40k, how I play with the 13th. I like 40k. And I've always played 40k. And the other thing about playing Heresy and 40k is by playing 40k, it lets me enjoy Heresy more. It's like, this is a finer wine. This is a few lagers. Smash it down your neck. This is a fine wine. This is a night out. I'm pissed up. I'm gonna have some, a bit of on the like that tequila, all that. This I'm gonna feel bad about in the morning. This, however, fine wine, a few wafer thin mints. And so playing 40k helps me enjoy Heresy more, but playing Heresy actually helps me enjoy playing 40k more. I play Heresy and the narrative, and every now and then it's nice not to play that sometimes and just to go. I've got these big things, I've got these little things, I'm going to do some points and try and outscore you. Or, as I also like to do every now and then, playing narrative missions and funny missions around the edges and make pew-pew noises and explosion noises and things like that. Both have helped me appreciate both the other. You know what I mean? I used to say back in the day quite a lot that I wish the Heresy rule system had changed in 8th edition along with the 40k rule system, because one of the things that made Heresy 1.0 so popular was it was the same. Heresy, when it first came out, didn't have a rule book. They just started releasing codexes, the black books. If you played Warhammer 40k, you could buy a codex, the black book, and started playing Heresy. Boom, done. They didn't have their own rule system. And so we played Eldar in Heresy, we played Orcs in Heresy, we played other, because it wasn't Eldar or Orcs in Heresy. What you were doing is I was playing my Mechanicum Tagmata and my Heresy units against Orcs, against Eldar, and it was all fairly balanced. And then when 8th edition came round, Heresy stuck to the old rule system and then 8th, 9th, and now we've had the update. And I used to say they should all be the same, and I was wrong. It's good to be wrong, because when you're wrong, you learn something. And I learned something, and I learned that it's better to have a couple of different rule systems, fundamentally different rule systems. So people who want to play, who want to drink the lager and have the tequila and have the this is can do that. And it's fun. 40k is fun. Throwing squigs at each other is fun. Murder Bowl is fun. Pariah Nexus is fun. I think 10th edition is a good rule set. It's certainly much better than 9th edition. The codex is all sorts of problems. There's problems with it. And I did a whole video, like the top 3. There's problems with it, but then there's problems with Heresy. And it's 2 different things, which is good, because sometimes you want your lager, sometimes you want your fine wine. You know what I'm talking about? That's what I'm talking about. I'm late. Did you discuss the new Heresy campaign book? Sid, £5. Thank you for your donation. I'm all out the coffee. Hello, Mug Club members. Coffee is out. I've definitely woke up. I mean, people, hello the VOD squad, by the way. Anyone watching this afterwards will be like, well, that's a turnaround. Because at the beginning, I just woke up and I was a bit dozy. And I'm like, where are we? I mean, the title of the stream is what we're talking about. And I've been ranting. Clearly, the coffee's been kicked in. But thank you for your £5. Appreciate you. Legend. Did you discuss the new Horus Heresy campaign book? No, I haven't. For those that don't know, there's a new Heresy campaign book coming soon. The War on Mars. Now, colour me excited, but I'm very excited about that one. I love my Mechanicum. I love my Tigmata Mechanicum. I think that the Admech are one of the most interesting and fascinating factions in the whole of 40k, lore-wise. I think they scream 40k. They're basically ISIS in space, with cyborg ISIS in space. You don't get anyone more religiously fundamentalist than the goddamn Mechanicum. I mean, look what they do to themselves in the name of belief. I mean, 40k as well is one of those things where most of a sci-fi universes, you're like, I wouldn't mind going there. Or if I lived in the universe of aliens, I could be a colonial marine. Or if I lived in the universe of Starship Troopers, wouldn't it be nice to be a captain on a thing? Or if I lived in this universe, or if I lived in that universe. But one of the things about 40k is, if you lived in the 40k universe, it's like you have to scrape the barrel to find the place where it actually wouldn't suck too much. And it might be one of the 500 worlds, and that's about it. Or you know, there's some very few places. The chances out of the quadrillions and quadrillions of humans in the 41st millennium, like 1 in a billion of them has a pretty nice life on a small farmstead somewhere in the 500 worlds, or on a feudal world somewhere. They're all right. Apart from them, there's like, I don't want to be in that universe. And you particularly really wouldn't want to be a member of the Admech faction. The Admech are just as, it's a symbiotic for the Mechanicum, Adeptus Mechanicus, and the Imperium are obviously one thing, but they're a symbiotic. They pray to different gods. They've got just as there's a lot of Admech out there, a lot of Admech, and they've been criminally underrepresented in the lore, and criminally they don't get as much love. There's a lot of them. Titans, Knights, oh my. Forge World after Forge World. They make all the guns and the bombs, and we like guns and bombs. We play war games. I'm very excited by the War on Mars campaign book. It's going to have rules on how to play Bad Mech as well as Admech. And then there's those, they've released, finally, not released, it's coming soon, I'm assuming. But there was the, what was it? Reveal that the Mechanicum is finally coming out in plastic, and they did it at some games day like a month or so ago. And I was wondering, I was having a conversation with Alex only recently, like, when is this stuff coming? And I was like, I don't know, but it must be soon, because the book for Mars has now been teased. So if the book has been teased and plastic miniatures have been teased, whenever they start teasing it, that means it's coming in imminently, maybe next week, maybe next month, I don't know. But when it comes, I'll be very excited for it. Very excited for it. I'm not sure. I mean, I've got a lot of Admech, but I'm just going to be adding to my Admech, aren't I? I hope it's going to be as good as this one, because they've released 3 campaign books for the Heresy so far, and 2 of them have been shite, and 1 of them very good. But the other 2, shite. But that one makes you want to collect Shattered Legions, or at least Black Shields. That one makes you want to actually. The lore in it is really good, and I defy you, if you're a Heresy player, to get this book and not want to suddenly create a Black Shields army, because I do. All found a peaceful life on Kauth. Oh wait, exactly. All on Kauth. That's about until the tsunami, and then he woke up. Alanius Pearson, he's got to be one of my favourite characters from the thing. Do you think that with the new Heresy book, having bad mech rules, that will lay the groundwork for bad mech in 40k? No. I don't think so. Because I think bad mech in 40k is coming anyway. I think Vashtor in 40k, Vashtor the Arcaphane, and the Wormwood storyline, he's now hiding in the Pariah Nexus anomaly down there, down in the core of the Pariah Nexus, perverting that all up, doing Vashtor things. I think bad work is an inevitability. I think it's coming. I think they've probably designed it, and people in Games Workshop laugh whenever they hear talk about bad. I think it's coming. I think bad work is. I mean, they released Dwarfs. They released Custodes. Custodes weren't a playable faction until 7th edition. Then Custodes came along. And then Death Guard, their own faction. And then Sisters in Plastic, new faction. Harlequins on their own. Dwarfs. There's been World Eaters on their own. They've released 5, 6, 7 new factions in the last decade. Bang, 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 bang. Which were not part of the game at all. Banmech is definitely on the list. Not that I know, not that I'm privy to any information, but I would bet my mortgage on it. Also, the fact that they've got bad mech rules in Heresy is... So in Heresy 1.0, which they released in all the black books, there was one of the black books that came out, I forget which one it was called, but bad mech, they already did it in 1.0, is what I'm saying. It was already a thing there anyway, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and the PDF still exists. Exemplary Battles in the Age of Darkness still exists on the Warhammer community website, or it did exist a couple of days ago because I was looking at it on Friday. So it still exists. So it's kind of like, right, we did this in Heresy 1.0, now we're doing it in Heresy 2.0. It's going to be part of this campaign book, go, boom, So, yes. I'm not sure the 2 studios talk to each other very much, the Specialist Game Studio and the main studio, other than to throw things at each other down the hall and scream. There doesn't seem to be that much cross-pollination. They don't even share models these days. I think they're in competition with each other, which is wrong. They should be helping and supporting each other, and there should be some cross-pollination, particularly with certain models here or there. Marius Gage, thank you for your donation. Love you, babe. Thank you. Another donation. You absolute legend. Liking All. That deserves a super chat. Too many people don't get how great he is. Fantastic arc. I love All. All Pearson is one of my top 5 characters from the Horus Heresy. He'd be in there. Alanis Pearson, definitely. Absolute legend. Yes. I don't understand the people who... They're a tiny minority. I hear their voices in the wind every now and then across the messages and across the things, and occasionally to me, coming at me. But I don't understand the people who don't like the Perpetuals in the Heresy series and think it spoils it. I don't... Before the Horus Heresy book series, there was no such thing as Perpetuals. Dan Abnett invented them for Legion, the book called Legion, which was like the fifth or sixth book in the Heresy. He invented Perpetuals, essentially to solve the Emperor problem. Like, what is the Emperor? Before Perpetuals, there was... You can go back and have a look on the interwebs. Was the Emperor an old one? Was he an Eldar being all this time? Was he the Star Child thing and the Shaman thing. There was lots of theories about who the Emperor actually was and whether he was even mortal or even human. And then the Perpetual question kind of like fixed that. Turns out the human genome has some really weird things going on. Like we have Perpetuals, we have Pariahs, we have Psychers, we have Navigators, Ogrins, whole Ogrin planets. Here's the thing that Games Workshop should do. Release 40k Codex Ogrins. And it's an Imperial Guard. You get Space Marine add-ons. How about this, guys? I'll run this idea by you. The Eldar. The Eldar now have the Dark Eldar and have the Harlequins. There's loads of flavors of different knife ears running around out there. Quite frankly, if you ask me, overrepresented. Chaos. Lots of different Chaos flavors out there. Space Marines. There's different codexes. There's like the red ones and the blue ones and the green ones and different books and things. Why can't we have more than one guard codex? The Ogrin is a remarkably stable humanoid gene. They're loyal AF. You can play them in Darktide. You can play them in Heresy if you do the Militia. I think it's the Adeptus Militia PDF, like the Ruins of the Demon Storm PDF. You could build this how you play Guard because in Heresy it's Solar Auxilia, the guys with all the kit. If you want to play the Guard, then they've got no kit. But you can run a whole force made of just Ogrins. Why can't imagine if they released Codex Ogrin and these are the Ogrin worlds. And you have to have commissars running around with them all over the place, discipline masters running around with them all over the place. Not because they really need discipline, because sometimes they need to be pointed in the right direction. But can you imagine Ogrins on like big bikes and Ogrins on big quads with like stick grenades thrown over their shoulder, or Ogrin-sized tanks? Perhaps you shouldn't give them the heavy equipment. Maybe it'll be a combined arms thing. So the Treadheads and the Armoured Company's ally, from the Astra Militarum book with the Ogrins. But they can press buttons. You can put Ogrins on go-karts. You could put Ogrins on giant Ogrin horses. You can have Ogrins on space hoppers with squigoths. It sounds a bit orky, doesn't it? But an Ogrin force. Shields and the things and the stuff and the things with some kit scaled up for them. Because if you're on an Ogrin planet, it's a remarkably stable genome. It's throughout the whole of the Imperium. Bit like Ratlin's, bit like the Navigator gene. There's lots of genes stable everywhere. There's whole planets of them out there. So they've got to have buses and cars and PDF and things like that. Why can't we have... This goes back to my idea ages ago, and I banged on about it here. I'm banging on about it again. Codex Mercenaries. We want Codex Mercenaries. And in Codex Mercenaries, you can have 5 different factions in there. Have the Loxatl in there. They're in Gaunt's Ghosts. They appear in loads of the narratives all over the place. So have a couple of sprues, Loxatl, sell them. In Codex Mercenaries, you could have the... what's the ones with all the flames? You know, the Space Marine, Army of the Dead, Flames, those guys. Have them in it. You could have Ogrin in it. You could put all sorts of things in Codex Mercenaries, and the ones that sells the most, the ones that people just keep buying and buying and buying and buying because they love it too much, that'll be the next release that you get as a codex, full codex in its own right. You know, Legion of the Damned. There you go. Thank you very much. See, chat knows. Chat always knows. There's a question. Let's say we're going to put 5 factions into Codex Mercenaries. I'm Bagsy in the first one, which is Ogrins. And in Codex Mercenary, the Ogrin section, it will have your Bulgrins and your Ogrins. But we're going to release 2 new sprues, 2 new models. And one of them will be like an Ogrin elite force. And these are the slightly brainier ones. And they run your army and and you can give them, instead of just slab shields and stuff, or you could actually give them a bit better equipment, and you can give them bladed weapons like a power sword and a gun going and make like a heroic Ogryn stuff things. That's one of them. And the second one you can do is some sort of mounted division Ogryns on these big like monster truck type stuff with just rockets, and they're racing, and on the front just big slabs of 10-inch thick ceramite on the front where they just bolted it on the front. I see you guys, Gene Stealer cults, you like all your bolted on bits of equipment, but no, here's my monster truck Ogryn Ridge Runner, and that's in Codex Mercenaries. Ogryns, that's one of the factions. I'm Bagsy in the first ones. Ogryn bulldozers, Marius Gaze, exactly, but fast bulldozers with laser beams and rockets on. Cool. Ogryns. What else? Legion that Ogryn in mega armor with big shooter and power claw. Yeah. Ogryn in mega armor with big shooter and power claw. Yeah, an Ogryn with good armor in power armor. An Ogryn with half power armor with swords and bladed weapons and some sort of rocket thing going duk 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 duk. But obviously better than the Orcs because they're Ogryns. So that's one. That's one in Codex Mercenaries. We need another faction in Codex Mercenaries. The Fallen. Or Traitor Guard. So there's two. Two right there, done. Two. You sold me on both of them. The Fallen, Codex Mercenaries. Bang. Stick them in there. Yes, definitely. Probably the Legion of the Damned as well. With new sprues, this is the thing. In Codex Mercenaries, they'd release new sprues for the Ogryns, new screws for the Fallen, new sprues for Legion of the Damned, new sprues for Traitor Guard. Yes. So that's all 4 done. We've got, and then another one. Locks of Cattle. Yeah, you need Xenos in there, and they would be cool. Climb up Zealings with the flechette charges on the back and bits. Just they'd be cool. Anyway, I would release Codex Mercenaries. Yes, every now and then. You know, like they do Kill Team, and they think the Kill Team game is really, really successful because no one can buy any Night Lords and Mandrakes right now because of the Kill Team box set. But really, Kill Team is successful and is selling because everyone wants the miniatures. There's some people out there that do play Kill Team, and their numbers are nowhere near the number of people playing Blood Bowl or Necromunda or things like that. The lizard dude from Blackstone. I know it's more Eldar, but Exodites. Yes. The sixth one in Codex Mercenary. Actually, no. I mean, Eldar Exodites. I feel like Eldar Exodites need their own codex at some point. You need like Craftworld Eldar Codex, like dunk. Put it to one side. You know, there's multiple Space Marine codexes. We need a Craftworld Eldar Codex. We need a Dark Eldar Codex because they're essentially completely, they don't see eye to eye with their cousins. The true kin know what they did and they're proud of it, and that's why I kind of like them. The Craftworlders are a bunch of narcissistic, stuck-up know-it-alls who are in denial and should, quite frankly, find the nearest well and jump in it. And then Harlequins, they don't really know where to stick Harlequins. So what you could do is have Codex Craftworlders, Codex the Dark Kin, because they're okay. And then the third Codex could be Codex Other Eldar. Codex... You got Imperial Agents. Codex Non-Imperial Agents. And in it, you put the... Eldar Corsairs, you put the Harlequins, and you put Eldar Exodites, and you put that in a separate book. And they're like Imperial Agents, like you add them to other... You could probably play some of them as a standalone faction, like the Harlequins you can kind of play as a standalone faction, but you could play the other ones as standalone factions as well, couldn't you? And then test the waters with Exodites, and Exodites is one of these where elves riding dragons in space is going to sell by the boatload. It is. So Exodites engine, you've sold me on that one. Exodites. I don't know why they haven't introduced dinosaurs to Warhammer 40k yet. If they can introduce Gundam to Warhammer 40k yet, and skeletons, undead metal skeletons to Warhammer 40k, then, and they can introduce Mass Effect and Fallout a la Space Dwarfs into Warhammer 40k, why haven't they introduced dinosaurs? The galaxy is really, really big. It's big. It's got more than 3 or 4 stars in it. It's really big. There can be dinosaurs in 40k. Why not? Let's have some dinosaurs with frickin' space lasers attached to the side of their head. I want to fight my space marines up against space dinosaurs. That would be cool. Just like killing space Gundam stuff, you know? Exodites and Dark Mech should be here by now. Yes. I think they're production issues. I think that's what it is. Like, the reason why you can't get half of the Heresy range is because they're production issues. The reason why you can't buy Night Lords for Kill Team is because production issues. They're building that new factory, right? And that's going to increase their capacity by 33%, they said. I think it's a third. It might be a quarter, but it's a quarter to a third. So it's clearly bigger or faster or new kit compared to the other 4. New factory. That might sort out some of their production issues when that finally starts churning out some models late next year. Servants of the Abyss, mainly the Beastmen. The Beastmen could be in Codex Mercenaries as well. Instead of just one sprue, bring another sprue. Beastmen are a ubiquitous, stable, humanoid strain across the galaxy. They mainly fall to chaos, but some of them are very, very loyal. They could bring in Beastmen and Codex Mercenary. Definitely. Oh, come on now. Space Wolves may predate Mass Effect. Space Wolves do predate Mass Effect, but the Space Wolves that they had in the old Rogue Trader days were basically Imperial. They had Imperial Guard kit, they had Imperial Guard guns, and they had a bit of smattering of Space Marine stuff. Because back in the Rogue Trader days, it was like, let's just bring knights and elves and dwarves and orcs and put them in space. And that's what they did. And then they figured out the narrative after the effect. Famously, Horus Heresy was a paragraph on the back of the Adeptus Titanicus' box set. They hadn't even figured that out yet. Ultramarines, the Mentor Legion, Legion of the Damned, these were all things introduced in a White Dwarf article, chapter approved back in the day. They filled in the dots after the thing, and the Space Dwarves didn't really have an aesthetic or a look other than the Imperial / Space Marine look. And the Space Marine and the Space Marine and the Space Marine and the Imperial Guard look also overlapped a little bit as well back at the start. And then they killed off the dwarfs. When they decided to bring Space Wolves back in with Leagues of Votan, they said, right, what aesthetic are we gonna start building on from the ground up? And the aesthetic that they've decided to go for with the Leagues of Votan is a bit futuristic, isn't it? It's a bit Mass Effect-y. It's a bit, look at what you could have won. If they weren't also Grimdark, I mean, the dwarves are doing quite well, stuck away in the center of the galaxy. They've been there all the way through the time of the Great Crusade, all the way through the time of the Heresy, all the way through the Age of Darkness, the Age of Strife, and they're still there now. They have been tailor-made from the ground up to live in the Galactic core, and they're all there. A kit is fine and healthy and happy in the Galactic core because they have an STC with them, the Votan, keeping them alive. So, yeah. So they're happy there. But they went for an aesthetic, and it's very future sci-fi Mass Effect-y with the roll on. That's what they went with. They had a better look back then too. The kin have still managed to be kind of, I know, man, the kin are a bit of a dud. They shouldn't have, with all the whole AI and the Votan thing, look, they gave us more Berserkers. And then they gave us more not Terminators. Then they gave us more not Devastators. Then they gave us a not Land Raider and a not Razorback. Why, oh why, did they decide to do variations of the stuff that people have got and play with already, just with a different aesthetic. What they should have done, because they played it safe, that's why, because they were playing it safe. What they should have done is did a bit of that, play it a bit safe. But what really people want is the mad and crazy stuff that looks super cool. And what they should have done, and when Leagues of Votan version 2 comes out, their next codex, I do hope they lean into the AI, into the Votan thing more, into the cyborg thing more, and they have some more wacky creations rather than just not berserkers, not terminators, not devastators. There's no reason why, because they have literally the dwarf standing next to you could be an AI thing. Also in their lore is done pretty well, by the way. It's like, where have they been all this time was a question. They better not screw this up. It's interesting because often the codex writers, anyway, they didn't screw up. The lore is actually quite interesting. It's quite a few layers, and Luton's done a video on it, and a few people have done some videos on it. There's a few layers to the Votan's lore. I like it. I'm not against it. It actually works quite well. 10 out of 10. They didn't screw that up. Phew, because often they do. But on the field of play, on the battlefield, we could see some more walking menacing machines AI things going on, which would help them stand out a bit more. Which help give them even more of their own identity. Because right now their identity, I feels visually their identity feels a little bit borrowed. Their units are a little bit borrowed, and their visual identity is a little bit borrowed. And I'm sure over time, Games Workshop are very good at doing this. Over time, it will expand, it will evolve, it will, like Dark Eldar had a big shift. The Necrons had a big shift. Tau with the third sphere of expansion, and now with the fifth sphere of expansion, and the changes the changes with the Tau. They didn't change the lore with them. They've evolved the lore with them. The Tau are now feeling very ingrained in 40k lore, and they've got some darkness to them. They always had some darkness to them. They're a mind-controlled slave race, essentially. So that kind of sucks. But, in 40k, hey, aren't we all mind-controlled slave race? The Imperium just do it with propaganda and lies and hypno-teaching. The Tau do it with musk and sense and woo-woo. They do it with woo-woo. Yeah. But, yeah, they'll get there. Yeah. Where are we? Waiting for my not dreadnought. Exactly, Sid. A not dreadnought which hasn't got someone in it, but it's just AI control with rockets and guns and with the stuff, and make it mean looking. Like if it tank shocked you, if it ran at you, it might run through you. You know what I mean? I've never been so gutted about the lack of Heresy lore. It practically ruins them for me. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about the leagues? They've got a lack of Heresy lore. I think the league's lore is anything that goes. See, the thing is in 40k is we've got the Age of Darkness, we've got the Age of Strife, we've got the Dark Age of Technology. In that period of time, that's where anything before that period of time gets a bit wishy. But essentially the leagues know they came from Terra and know that they were meant to exist in the galactic core. And that's about all that they've got from the time before the Age of Strife. That's about it. And since then, they've been doing well. The Great Crusade was, 200 years? It would have been a blink in the eye to the leagues, The Votan, a blink in the eye. Yeah. So, and the Heresy wouldn't have ever got there. When the Great Crusade happened, they couldn't have got. Even the Orcs and the Necrons struggled to get the league. The leagues of Votan, Space Dwarves, are pretty solid on their homeworlds in the same way that the Eldar are pretty solid in their homeworld in Cormorra, in the same way that the demon worlds in the Eye of Terror, they're pretty. It's interesting, isn't it? A lot of the bad guy species have got pretty. They got locked down good. They got their. You're never going to take Medringrad from the Eye of Terror. It's not going to go. You're never going to fully invade Cormorant. I mean, they did try and invade. What was it? The Penitent Crusade? I forget which one it was, where it was this. People will know, but it was either the 11th or 12th founding, which they literally did an entire founding where they decided, this is how stupid the High Lords of Terror are. Once upon a time, the High Lords of Terror decided to invade the Eye of Terror. They did a whole Space Marine founding and they sent everyone in there. And guess what? They never came back. So yeah, the Chaos dudes have got it pretty locked down. Dark Eldar pretty locked down. Chaos the dwarfs, normal dwarfs, pretty locked down. Necron, Tomb Worlds. Some of them are in other dimensions. Pretty locked down. Terror though, wide open. Walk your way through. Yeah, they were pretty safe during the whole crusade thing. The leagues that were out in the galaxy probably went, let's batten down the hatches. This one, sink a few piers, wait for this all to blow over. Go down the Winchester. Yeah. The leagues are the Men of Stone in my head. They might be remnants of or offshoots or descendants or cousins of. They might be. I think we're the Men of Stone. I think humanity is the Men of Stone. Back the Men of Iron, the Men of Gold, and the Men of Stone. Again, this is evolving lore. Back when they first started talking about these, you could mistake all three of those as one thing, and depending on which world and depending on which lore source, when they said Men of Stone, they meant Men of Iron. When they said Men of Gold, they meant Men of... But now they're becoming more of their own individual. They're popping up a bit here or there or da. It seems likely that the Men of Gold were humans, us, like the evolved level superhuman sci-fi type, and then the Men of Stone were probably us, lower, the ones that were changing worlds. I mean, there's a short story book with Olanes Pearson in it where this planet has literally been bit in half, and that's what happened during the Age of Strife. There were things swimming in the deep which ate planets, and the men, I think some humans got to a level where, like godlike level, many humans not. And then you got the Men of Iron somewhere in the middle, the AI guys. But all this is open to interpretation. If you look at other lore sources, it could go the other way. It could go left. It could go right. It could go... And what about the Men of Plastic? What about the men of chickens? Men and chickens bred with each other in a place in Arkansas and made Chicken Man. You know what I mean? That could have been a thing. Wait, are we the baddies? I know, right? Do you think one Sisters of Battle ever turned to another Sisters of Battle in a trench and said, what's with all the skulls? Are we the baddies? So leagues, maybe the Men of Stone. We've seen planets in the inner core that the Legions controlled. It's in the maps GW released in the inner core. Yes, but the inner core. I'm talking about, inside the inner core. Galaxy really big. Not in the inner core. They're in the inner core. Inside the inner core. They're inside past the parcel. They're not just inside the first few layers. They're inside the layers, inside the layers, inside the layers. That's where they are. Where gravity, where even the Necrons can't go. As it says, bang on in the codex, the only species that even get close to their homeworlds are the Necrons, close, mind, not all the way there, and the Orcs, because the Orcs just don't care. Everyone else doesn't stand a chance. Gravity rips you. When there are so many suns in the sky, it is permanently bright all the time. Imagine the amount of radiation getting chucked out by that supermassive black hole at Sagittarius A. It's just not a nice place to live. Not a nice place to live. The technology that they have in order to stay there, which is why they like mining, and they're very keen on getting all the minerals to build all the shields and all the things and all the domes. Shield domes. You know what I mean? Hi chat, we still here? Sorry, yes, we still here? Is anyone hello? Anyone out there? I didn't look at you for a while. Now you're not talking. Talk to me, Goose, talk to me. Name that movie. Talk to me, Goose, talk to me. I'll give you another hint. This is Ghost Rider requesting flyby. Negative, Ghost Rider, the pattern is full. Maris is not here. You don't know that one. Okay. Could NIDS not get handy? What, into the galactic core? Are you talking about gravity? I mean, evolve their way around. I think they're suggesting that they're trying to do the sci-fi thing, which is, hey, look, here's actual science. You realize that there is no way that we can conceive of a technology that can withstand the gravitic influences of the galactic core or the radiation of the galactic core. It would require a technology so far, a godlike technology. So even the Necrons struggle. So I don't think the NIDS could either. I think they're trying to say, maybe when the NIDS take over the entire galaxy, everyone, maybe there'll still be some dwarfs left hiding away. I mean, Cormorant, they'll still be Dark Eldar, right? And unless the NIDS get in there, which could happen. And yes, chaos stuff, maybe. Kenny Loggins. To the danger zone. A very quotable movie back in the day. Not as quotable as With Nell and I or Pulp Fiction, though. I guess I just don't like the whole implications that the Emperor went, I'm going to conquer the galaxy, but not that bit. The implication is the Emperor is going to say, I'm going to conquer the entire galaxy, except for the bits that I can get to, and except for the bits that I can't conquer. So he conquered most bits, except for like Mars. He didn't conquer Mars. He knew that it would be better to join with Mars rather than conquer Mars. And then the leagues, he would have probably... See, the Emperor as well, he definitely had a chat with some Eldar at some point. He knew some of their fighting moves. He knew a few katars, which he taught to the Custodes. He would have had a chat with them in the end. They might have even been welcomed back into the fold. Maybe the leagues of Votan with their STCs and that was part 2, 3, 4, 5 of the plan. That was further down the line after the Webway project and after the unification of the galaxy and after this and after that. He knew, like, we'll get to them in a bit. It's not hardly like the Rangdan genocide, which we had 3 goes. The third Rangdan genocide, when the Alpha Legion finally showed up and said, look, we're a legion. We actually exist. We're a thing. We'll help you out because you've had 2 goes at this already and you need a hand, Space Wolves. So we'll come in and we'll give you a hand. And Russ never let him, That's why Russ never liked him. One of the many reasons. And they did the thing on the thing, and they did the thing. That's genocide, wiped out. But with leagues, they didn't really ever need a genociding, you know? I mean, the genocide is just a Tuesday in the Imperium. And they didn't need that particular Tuesday because they were kind of human. I mean, if you've got Ogrins and Navigators with the eye and Ratlins and all that, there was definitely a way back to let the space squats back in, wasn't there? There was. I think it was part of the plan. I bet the Webway could get them to the core. I bet the Webway could get them to the core, but there won't be any maiden worlds out there because as soon as you step out of the maiden world in the core, you'd be crushed like straight away. You need technology to live. It's one of those places in sci-fi where science says there can be no this, that, the other. It's just, so that's why they mine the hyperdense. It's, yes, hyperdense materials, hyperdense stuff. They live probably inside worlds, not on top of, and they live in fleets as well. There's lots of fleets going on. It's not a very, I don't know the science, but it's not a hospitable place. A bit like Swindon. The original squat law in Rogue Trader was great. There was very little squat law. Yeah. I mean, the original law, way back. Sherlock, Clouseau, that guy. The original law way back, they were taking the piss a lot more. They were taking the piss a lot more. Yeah. It's just evolved, it's grown, it's moved over time. And here we are in the wonderful worlds of Warhammers now, where it's grown into this. I mean, the lore for 40k, the lore for the Warhammers. Is there another IP where there's this much lore? Like, I mean, there's big IPs out there, but this much? It goes deep, yo. Deep. And the Votan vehicles and void armor capable of withstanding the pressure. The idea is that the Votan are the only ones that can actually exist in the Galactic core because of space magic, because of space technology, which is akin to magic, ancient dark age of technology stuff, which no one else understands, least of all the leagues themselves. And they live to feed the cores, and the cores live to feed them. They're in this perpetual cycle of regression, but not as bad as everyone else. They're in this perpetual trapped cycle thing where, yes, that's how that works. They have an intact yes, they have an intact STC. Absolutely, yes. That's what the Votan is. The leagues of the Votan. Yes. Basically, leagues of Votan means leagues of STC. That's the name they give for their STC, which is split into other major memory things, but then they have these. Yeah, don't tell the Admech. Is there a faction in Necromunda that have an STC? There is a faction in Necromunda called, someone will let me know, but they have a bit. See, there's STCs and there's STCs. There's STC wafers, there's STC blueprints, there's bits of STCs. There's bits of STC knowledge, put it that way. And then there is the STC, the AI, the thing, the machine that makes the knowledge and makes everything. So, yes. So in Necromunda, they have bits of this thing. It's rumored that the whole of Necromunda is actually built on an STC. One of the conspiracy theorists behind Hive Cities and STCs is that Vansar, there you go, the Vansar, is that all the OG Hive Cities are actually built on STCs or versions of STCs or bits of STC machines. STCs, again, watch Luton's thing on STCs. He'll explain it all for you. But in the center, the Leagues of Votan, their STC is the mother load of STC. It's a big thing. It was sent there to do the thing. Oh, Luton's in the chat. Luton, I'm just telling them we're talking about STCs. The difference between an STC machine and STC wafers and bits of STC. There's when people in the 41st millennium, when characters and people talk about an STC can mean more than one thing, like a knight, like and stab, and night as in the night time, or as in, an STC machine, Horus at the Aurelian Technocracy. No, the Aurelian Technocracy. So there's bits of functioning STC tech out there, which the Admech would call an STC as well. So, hey, look, an STC's made this thing, and the Aurelian Technocracy had I think it's a couple of things. One of the things that Horus gave to the leader of Mars, my name's gone, Kane, I forget his name, brain gone, One of the things he gave them was an STC, bit of an STC, this file, which would make, is it Kane? Who's his name? Anyway, it gave enough energy. It was a new energy source. So it's like, hey, you come and join us. One, we'll open the vaults of Moratech, the vaults with all the demon machines in. And two, here's a couple of STCs. And they were either STC files or portions of STC machines. And this one of the things he gave was a new power source, which would give him as much power as all of the forges of Mars. Then there's actual STCs, the real things that they sent off back in the dark age of technology. They sent these things off to other worlds, and they're like massive AI 3D printing machines. The easiest way to think of them is you're on Earth, you want to settle some planets, you send these machines off. Then by the time you get there 100 years later, 1,000 years later, X number of years later, to this planet, it would have made the cities and the lands and the boats and the ice cream and the air that you breathe. It would have made everything perfectly safe and fine. And the humans, one of the reasons why humanity collapsed so easily is because we didn't need to do nothing. Google did it all for us. It was like, hey, Alexa, build me a theme park. Alexa would build the theme park. They would go the next day with the Alexa programmed ice cream, eat the ice cream, scoot around the roller coaster, have a great time. At the end of the day, Alexa, tear down the theme park. That's what STCs could do. It was wild times. And yeah, and the Votan machines, they're about the only solidly intact ones that I know of. Calbor Hal, thank you. Calbor Hal 9000. Calbor Hal. A fabricated general of Mars. He wasn't a big fan of the Big E. Didn't believe he was the avatar of the Omnissiah. Never got it from the start. Mainly because it means that he wasn't the most important person on the block. And he was a raging narcissist. Yeah, and Horus gave him 2 files. And one of them was, hey, this will give your forge more power than all of the other forges on Mars combined already. And energy was a currency on Mars. Now, here, let me give you a little bit of my energy. Let me have it's nice to sample the energy from your forge. It's very smooth and clean. That sort of shite. I think someone that is not so commonly referenced is that even Xenos like Eldar seek human STCs. Thank you, Luton. Yeah, exactly. Even the Eldar seek them because the tech is so advanced. It's that Arthur C. Clarke thing, which is quote, which is what is the quote, which is a suitably advanced, something like along the lines of technology from a suitably advanced civilization, if it's is indistinguishable from magic. So like you could go back to the Stone Age and show them cars and helicopters and they would think you're ancient aliens. Everything is aliens. The pyramids, aliens. Everything's aliens, indistinguishable from magic. And it'd be the same the other way around. A suitably advanced alien civilization coming here, it would be like space magic. Yeah, the Eldar want it. The other thing that's worth learning is that it's very clear that the Imperium do not actually understand what an STC is. Exactly. Thank you, Luton. Because they have encountered several and not realized it. Yeah, there's a great one which Luton quotes every now and then. A certain stage of tech, it becomes indistinguishable from magic. I'm glad you're in the chat. You're raising the IQ of the whole damn room. Thank you. There's a spaceship, one of my favorite short stories, which is probably an STC. And humans are in it like bloodstream and they don't know, and it puts these 2 Eldar ships together in the same space, which is obviously not very good for the Eldar ships, and things go boom. We just look, the Admech who are searching for STCs don't know what an STC is because they don't even know they're not really certain how the motorbikes work that they're driving or the trucks that they're driving work. The Tau, there's another great story where the Tau grab this Imperial ship, right? They get this Imperial ship and they're like, finally, we'll figure out how all this warp stuff works out. And they go there And then they grab all the people, they slaughter all the Space Marines, slaughter all the fighty people, and they're like, finally, we'll get the engineers, we'll talk to them, and the people who actually press and do the machinery. And the tower like, how does this work? And the guy's like, well, I press the button and pull the thing and pray, and then it does the thing. Well, how does this work? Well, no, you press the thing and you pray this time and you rub the grease on it and then it does that. And they're like, okay, right, let's go down to the fusion reactor. How does this work? Because the gods hear my prayer. And they're like, they're pulling their hair out. Not that they have hair, but they're like, what? They don't even understand the kit. There's another Tau short story where they've got this Eldar dreadnought and they figure out that there's a human inside it and like, whoa, there's a human inside this dreadnought. And they like take him out and the human inside the dreadnought still is trying to kill them. It's like, ah. And then that guy, strange enough, the one who does, is like, wow, there's someone inside there. And he's one of the guys from the 8, from Farsight's lot, and he ends up inside a suit. There's irony to that story. Anyway, the Admech are dumb, yo. So it appears that Arc Mechanicus ships are actually STCs. Yeah, lol, probably. They're driving around in the things that they're looking for. Yeah. Isn't that why they worship tech? It's so much misunderstood fantastical machinery that they just pray and repeat what less. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. Well, the reason why there's a couple of reasons why the Admech worship tech. The main reason is when things went really bad and humanity collapsed. Mars beforehand was quite a nice green terraformed place. It was okay. Everyone was hanging out there. Paradisical world. It was nice. When humanity collapsed and the biodomes and that world went horrible fast. Like at least on Earth, we don't need to terraform Earth. You have a nuclear bomb or two, it'll blow over. You'll be fine next Tuesday, particularly if you live in a mountain. On Mars, a couple of nuclear bombs, a couple of bits or pieces here or there. You can't live on the mountain because everyone's dead. Everyone's seen Total Recall. So it went really bad really quickly, which means everyone got really brutal really quickly, really brutal and really cunning. And they had to fight teeth and nail for every scrap of technology that would keep them alive. And the most fanatic, the most evil, the most determined slaughtered all the other ones. And they dug deeper and they dug harder and they were trying to find and hold on to every scrap and every resource they could. And then the next generation was, you need every scrap and every resource or you'll die. And they dug deeper and they dug harder and they started to believe and they started to push and they started to have cults and rituals around their beliefs, because these were like I said at the very beginning, the Admech are space ISIS. You're not going to find a more religiously fundamental group in the 41st millennium. Maybe sisters, but at least sisters don't do this to their body. The Admech go to they're pretty religious. They're pretty fundamentalist. And that's because they dug deeper, they dug harder than anyone else in their fear, in their fury, in their rituals, in their cults, in their thing to survive. And below the surface of Mars is a shard of the Void Dragon, or maybe the whole Void Dragon themselves. And it bred deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper religious indoctrination around this cult of the machine, this cult of worship to keep the machine alive. And they knew from their history that they didn't need to discover anymore. They didn't need to, that you mustn't tweak, that you mustn't touch, that you mustn't invent, that you mustn't evolve, because if you do that, people die. What you must do is protect and recover, protect and recover, protect and recover. And they knew that all knowledge already existed out there. Everything that could ever possibly be made was already out there, because all you had to do was find it. The quest for lost knowledge. Go re-find, reforge, rediscover, reunite the Omnissiah. All these, and yeah. So the ones that dug harder and dug more furiously to the dead star god that lurks in the center of Mars were the ones that won the tussle on Mars and came to prominence. The space Nazis won. And they came to prominence even before the Emperor unified Terra. They were really good at it. So, yeah. Did the Emperor deliberately put the Void Dragon Shard deep in Mars, knowing it would create a tech-based civilization he needed in the future? That is a question that is often asked. I would assume that it was one of his configurations. The Emperor did a lot of things, and some of them pulled off, and some of them didn't pull off. It is very clear from the Mechanicum book that he did. I mean, they literally say it's the dragon in Andalusia, and the bit at the back, Graham McNeil is quite specific about where it comes from. And I imagine it's one of the Sigillites permutations, one of the things, one of the layers on the layers on the layers. Because the Emperor doesn't have a plan. The Emperor has many, many things, many fingers in many pies. He's a multiple hedge fund manager going on. He's got stocks and shares in Walker's Crisps. He obviously loves his hobnobs, and he obviously loves a jalfrezi on a Thursday. He's got his fingers in many pies. He's sampling many dishes, many things going on, just in case something. And yeah, and he is. I mean, Graham McNeil says that she's now the avatar of the Omnissiah for the next 10,000 years. He even puts a time limit on it. So I would assume that the Emperor saw a future where this might be a little bit handy. And that's why he did it. I think that's the implication from the book from Graham McNeil anyway. Yeah. Yeah, Guilliman, where are we? It's an awful lot of trouble to go to in the thousands of years last. Yeah. Orcs, bioengineered old one weapon organisms. Yeah, the orcs definitely are. The orcs and the Eldar are bioengineered weapon organisms. Guilliman is actually at a point where he's considering using religion as a weapon, as he's always used librarians. Guilliman is using religion as a weapon, right? He's not taking on the Adeptus Sororitas. He's not taking on the Ecclesiarchy. He's like, look, we've got our own issues right now. I'm going to leave them. But Guilliman's at a point where he's beginning to think that maybe this was part of the plan as well, right? He's beginning to think that, 1 minute, maybe there is, power in faith is, or power through faith in the 41st millennium is a thing, exists. And Guilliman's beginning to see examples of, he sees miracles. He's seen a few miracles, and he's like, 1 minute, this works. When is Luton going to be in a battle report? I don't know. He doesn't play very often. Maybe we'll get him in a battle report at some point. It's up to Luton, though. But it would be lovely. I'm sure he would love it. He would have a lovely time. If we did it together, we would do it narratively and make sweet, sweet content babies. Oh, yes. I was more referencing using Godhead, starting to read Lorgar original. And yeah. Lorgar. Scheduling is the factor. Yes. Luton has little sprogs running around and scheduling, and I have the scheduling. And scheduling between, like me, people who ask whether they come round to have a game, it's like, I've got some windows in November now. Because I book up quite a bit in advance. At least it makes me feel a little bit secure. Because doing the internet's things, it's hardly like job security with a pension at the end of it. So I book up quite a few months in advance. And then when you try and schedule with another YouTuber, with their schedule as well, it's like, it's like trying to drop toast and for it to land bread side down rather than butter side down. It's hard. It's yeah. And we've got life things, and life happens. So, but I'd like it to happen. We'll see. We shall see. Looking forward to the new mech lore and the upcoming Heresy campaign book. Yes, I am. I'm very much looking forward to it. I've been ranting for some time about Mechanicum. As I said at the start, it's one of my favourite areas of lore in Warhammer 40k, and I feel I'm constantly disappointed that it's that it's not used as much as it could be, because the Mechanicum and the Imperium, I mean, the Imperium is part of the Mechanicum now, but it's very much a symbiotic relationship. There's two different cultures, two different gods, so to speak. Gods which are the same god, which are not. It's complicated. But their cultures are different. Their religious attitudes are different. Their history is different. Their hierarchy is different. There's a reason why the Emperor said, look, we'll handshake and join rather than I will destroy you, because destroying them wasn't a done thing. He thought it might be. He thought, like, he had the legions ready just in case, and the pacification of Luna had to happen first so that he could use the Selena gene cult's technology to turbo boost the manufacture of Space Marines from like a part-time hobby into full-on, we can churn them out by the dozen now hobby. He had to get that down before he went and had a handshake with Mars, because it was by no means a clear-cut thing that he would have won the war against Mars. I mean, Mars has lots and lots of back then they had a lot of Titans. Terra had some Titans too. He had some of his own. He is the Emperor. He was ready, but I feel like he kind of, it was one of his permutations. He kind of had a general idea that they were going to high-five him and they were going to go across the galaxy together side by side. But originally there were definitely two separate entities. Now in the 41st millennium, they are merged as one entity, like peanut butter and marmalade in the same bread. They're one entity, but they taste completely different, and their motivations are completely different, and the complexity as well, like tech heresy versus heresy. Belisarius' call as a character has grown and helped give us a bit more teeth to the lore behind the Mechanicum, which is nice, and we need more of that. You can hardly call him a heretic when he met the Emperor when he was around back in the age. That these divisions that the Inquisition have at the highest level between what you're allowed to do and say and what you're not allowed to do and say, there's a great deal of division up there. There's a great deal of division between the Ecclesiarchy and some of the more radical Space Marine chapters that are barely human. And there's a great deal of division in the Mechanicum as well. It's not explored as much as it could be. So I really enjoy the little nibbles when they come along. The two more recent book, The Great Work and the other one with Belisarius. There's a couple of books in recently with Belisarius call in. If you're interested in any of this stuff, 10 out of 10, would recommend them. The Great Work with him in is really good. And Mechanicum, book 5 of or book 4. One of the early books in the Heresy is it's so good. It's so good. Those are my go-tos. Luton started a Death Guard army, people. He just hasn't got Ultramarines. He's going Death Guard as well. He wants to play Ajax. He wants to go there, Ultramarines versus Death Guard. They don't give you all the variations of guns in the Plague Marine box. No. They never did. I mean, they didn't back in the day, right? You know, they don't in Heresy to this day. You had some of the things in some of the boxes, but you needed to buy. Look, all you need to do is make sure your Plague Marines are in companies of 7. Have 2 plasma guns, 2 heavy blight weapons, and a blight launcher in there, and you're good. You can add on all the other bits as well, but the plasma guns, you're allowed 2 in a unit. Like your champion can take 1. And you had to get plasma guns from eBay. Oh dear, I'm sorry. But 2 in each squad, because your champion can take 1 and 1 in the squad, and they should come with 1 in the squad. Blight launchers are always useful. Chuck 1 of them in there. And then you've got different weapons now. They're all heavy plague weapons now. Like the guy with the mace the guy with the flail or the guy with the axe. And I think it's 2 in a squad. You want 2 in a squad as well. And you can put 1 on the sergeant if you want to. There are other tweaks that you can put in there, like flamers and this and that. But blight launcher, plasma guns, heavy plague weapons are the go-to. It's quicker, it's easier, it's simpler, and you will not regret having them in your units. Occasionally, if you put a flamer in the unit or one of the other weapons in the unit, there's some occasions where you actually can't use it or it's not very... So, those ones. But yeah, plasma guns from eBay is a thing. Welcome to the hobby, Lou. I mean, you've been in it forever. You've been in it since 2nd edition. You know that if you want your units to have all the things in, you have to go to third-party sources, and Games Workshop just don't care. So long as you're buying the original box to add the things onto the things, that's all they care about. And Heresy, it's much, much worse, which is why I go to marchofwar.co.uk for all my Heresy options. For all the swords and the boards and the weapons and all the things. His selection of bits at marchofwar.co.uk is vast and exciting. I'm excited. My nipples get hard every time I dive in there. Thunderhammers and Powerfists don't seem to be in many boxes. Well, you should go to marchofwar.co.uk. I'm not paid for this, by the way. If James is hearing this afterwards in the VOD squad, give me a shout out in the VOD squad, James. And if you're not watching this afterwards, James, why are you not watching this afterwards? I'm working on the video with the thing that I need to fix with your video in. I keep giving equipment away to my friends before realizing I need it. Inshan, I know. How hard it's bad. Also, another person you can get loads of bits from is, if you're in the Winters SEO Discord, my moderator-in-chief, Brap Scallion, is coming down at the weekend. He doesn't run, but he's got loads of bits on the sides. Runs isn't the word for it, but if you're in the community and you need bits, hit up Braxcallion, because that's what he does, is he gets bits and sells them this way, and gets bits there and sells them that way. It's what he does. He's lovely for it. Loads of bits. He's my go-to as well. I'm having 1 squad of Death Guard that is a bit more close combat focused, primarily because of converting the old 2nd edition models, and I don't have enough bits to make all the plasma guns and the blight launchers. You should get a blight launcher in every box, and you should get a plasma gun in every box. You should. And I think it's... yeah. To finish my Commander Dante, I think I need to collect a Blood Angels army, because that was fun. Yeah, but Dante, do you like painting red? Dante's gold. But Blood Angels are cool. Blood Angels are cool. Perhaps Scallion's got runs. No, guns. Sorry. He might have runs. I was supposed to see Chewie on Sunday. Oh, this is the thing. I've been banging on for a while. This is a 2-hour stream. Why didn't you tell me to shut up? You do, but that's what I mean. I'm converting some old models using the... oh, converting models. Nice. Yes. Right, it's a 2-hour stream. I've been going on for a terribly long time. I must leave you. Because it's, you can't enjoy talking to me for this long. And also, let's face it, it's not been much of a conversation this evening. It's been more of a rant. I have to say, if you're watching this in the VOD squad afterwards, thank you for sticking in this long. Put in a comment below, let me know. Everyone who's got to the end of the chat and joined me in the chat, Luton, Inshan, Amur, Marius, Adam San, Adam, all of you guys, thanks for dropping in and keeping me company. I appreciate you. One last thing I have to say is, talking about the runs, Chewie was supposed to be here on Sunday to finish part 4 of the Signal, the narrative campaign, which is up for tier 3 channel members, but he had the runs. He was a bit poorly, so he couldn't make it on the Sunday, and I was going to get part 4, the Signal, up for Wednesday. I was literally going to have it up for tomorrow because I deliberately delayed. I tried to get the releases so that they were about 3 weeks apart from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and then the Signal, or maybe it was 4 weeks, but an even spread of all the chapters of the Signal, so they came out, boom, done, and it was going to be Wednesday. And then Chewie Chewie had the runs. I think it might be Ebola. He might actually be dead. R.I.P. Chewie. We love him. Anyway, so that isn't coming out on Wednesday. Now I had to put book Chewie in again to finish off. And I told you earlier on, those who were hanging around, he's gone full Nurgle. Never go full Nurgle. So the next window I had for Chewie is like September. So I apologize for all of you who were waiting to see Chapter 4 of The Signal, the narrative campaign that I'm doing with him. But I'm not even going to get to film it until September because there are no other windows available to film him within between. He's got a regular job. It's not like he can turn up on a Tuesday. My weekends get full pretty quick. So that's the thing. So, and then if you're in the Discord and people are asking like, hey, when's Chapter 4 of The Signal coming out? Those in the chat and those watching it in the Vault Squad afterwards, if you can field those questions on the Discord when people are asking, please, or in the comment section in the YouTube. Chewie had the runs. It's coming out later than planned. Thanks, because I'm not going to be able to catch all the comments and all the messages and all of them. So you guys, that's your homework project if anyone asks about The Signal. Apart from that, tomorrow, 3,000 point battle report with Inshin, who's in the chat. Thanks, Inshin. Your one got pulled up well quick. So, 3,000 point Imperial Fists versus Tyranids tomorrow. I would have loved to have slotted in one of the videos that I'm trying to fix, but I still haven't fixed them yet. They're partially fixed, partway fixed, because I've had a busy weekend. So that's happening, and then Hobby Apocalypse at the weekend. We're filming Hobby Apocalypse, and that's Saturday, Sunday. Saturday night's going to get really messy. And so I don't know what is actually coming out on the Sunday battle report. But tomorrow, 3,000 points, Imperial Fist versus Tyranids. It's a banger. Hope you enjoy it. Yes. No, it wasn't with Inshin. Sorry, it was with Johnny V. Inshin, you I saw you recently. Oh, no, that was last month. Because I keep looking up. And I was looking at June, and you were at beginning of June, and Johnny V was beginning of July. Dear, it's going to be a messy one. Yes, you need more Heresy more often. Sid, the other thing I have for you is I'm looking at the calendar for July and August, and a lot of 40k players are going to be upset. Like September, October, it goes back to about 2/3, 3/4 40k compared to Heresy that I am playing. But in July and August, about 50% of the fights that I'm going to have are Horus Heresy fights. So some of the 40k followers and subscribers and members might get a bit annoyed. But here we are on my hobby journey. This is what I'm playing. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. And I appreciate everyone who's joining me and following me and helping me still ride this roller coaster, this screaming, puke-infused roller coaster. At least I'm smiling while the puke is dribbling down my chin. At least the squits are not squitting out of my bum like they were at Chewie at the weekend. At least it's just puke in the eyes, in the nose, in the face. As we're laughing, and the candy and the ice cream are all coming up again. Thanking you for this roller coaster. Thank you. I'm gone. Brain over. Happy Wargaming.